back to the Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. This time around, we are doing something totally different. We're talking about my top 5 transcending URs that are not currently a part of any sort of category on the Japanese version of the game or global version of the game. That's perfectly fair. The main stipulation is that JP, of course, has more category leaders. Global should start getting into them relatively soon, though. So that being said, hope you guys enjoy this. If you do wind up enjoying it, please consider subscribing. Let's go ahead and get into it. So if you're not privy to categories, again, it's the new meta of the game. A lot of units are not a part of any sort of category yet, and oddly enough, about half of the 120% leaders or so are not currently a part of them, and most notably a guy like SS4 Goku, who will be on this list, by the way. Quick spoiler. And a lot of people kind of, whenever we do calculation videos for damage and stuff like that, always bring up Goku because Goku's always been an incredibly hard-hitting unit, overtook hardest hitting unit in the game for a while when he came out and stuff like that, but a lot of people tend to overlook the fact that he's not currently a part of any sort of category. And since he's not currently a part of any sort of category, he's not getting that monstrous 150% boost like a fusion team, or that monstrous 170% type boost like the revived Warriors teams, or things like that. So since he's not in a category, his only best team would be his own team. So that 120 just simply doesn't cut it. And that is actually the case for a lot of these units, because a lot of these units, again, were on that list prior to categories, and hopefully will make a return whenever categories come out. So make sure that you tune in to the next video, because the next one will be talking about 3 categories, 3 to 5, I'm not sure yet, that I would actually like to be in the game, that are not currently a part of the game yet, such as a movie category. That's something that we've talked about on my streams a little bit, and I really do like the concept of that. So make sure you tune into that. So anyways, in no particular order really, but kind of in a particular order, number 5 is going to be Android 17, Super 17 actually to be exact. So Super 17 is an incredible unit, incredible offensive and defensive versatility. He does take a little bit to get going. I've been a huge advocate of this unit because I feel like he's gotten completely overlooked, because a lot of people really don't like Super 17 as a character, which is 100% fair. But his mechanic is such a good mechanic and totally unique to him at first, and it was really different to the point that they did start to model multiple units after this type of unit, such as an LR Goku Black, such as that Tech Vegeta in the Baba Shop, of course to varying degrees, because he's the only one I believe that gets actual damage mitigation, because yes, the mitigation on his passive is always going to be more substantial than any sort of high defense, assuming that, you know, a low mitigation like his is coupled with a higher defensive stat that can be manipulated via the potential system. So again, Super 17 is a really good unit. Of course, like any other 120 lead, he can hit for over 1 million damage in certain scenarios, right links, critical hits, things like that, while also taking very minimal damage and also tanking super attacks relatively well, because when you look at a lot of the units in the game, yes, they're able to tank and they're able to tank really well, but they may not tank those super hits as well, and Super 17 just gives you that perfect blend of consistency. And number 4, okay, number 4 is STR Janelle. What does STR Janelle do? Honestly, STR Janelle's best trait to me, in my opinion, is his link set. This guy has an incredible link set. 10% brutal beatdown, metamorphosis, big bad bosses is there as well, shocking speed, fierce battle, nightmare, and fear and faith. That is like the ideal villain link set. And of course, this guy is one of the very first, in fact, actually, now that I remember, he is the very first unit to add a dodge mechanic to his passive. Now, unfortunately, other units have come out, such as Ultra Instinct Goku, such as Caulifla, that are probably a bit better than him at the dodge, but this Janemba is literally a direct creep on the intelligence Janemba, in that this guy is able to get that 80% attack boost as opposed to the 5,000 that the old intelligence one got, while maintaining the ability to block hits. So the ability to block hits is really interesting, because outright that gives him basically the best defenses in the game, because he's able to just say, hey, I'm type effective against everything, sort of like how Gogeta has like the best offensive passive in the game, being super effective to everything. This guy has the exact parallel to that, in that he is able to block everything as if he had type advantage. For example, you know, your units, all your units take, you know, decreased damage if you take on an event that they are super effective to. So for example, you take an STR team to a physical event, of course you guys should know the basics of the game. This guy does that on every single stage. So that, again, coupled with something like potential system, can really lead to this guy being good. And also, of course, he still has the ability to dodge those hits too, with a medium clip, which is about 25 to 30% depending on the units, because sometimes, you know, the medium and high, it's not 100% what we think it is. That was a recent thing that came out on the Reddit, that the calculations can vary depending on the unit. So again, I'll just just operate under the premise that it's about a 25% chance of activating. So again, incredible unit, and I think he and 17 are relatively close because they do the same things for the most part. It's just Janelle has that dodge on there while the other guy has the mitigation, so you kind of pick your poison. I will say Super 17 gets left in the dust because for whatever reason, they must have been too concerned about him being too good, really, because if they gave him big bad bosses, he would be a 10 times better unit in my opinion, but still, awesome unit. So we're moving on to number 3. We're getting into the top 3, guys. We have Masked Saiyan, and Masked Saiyan is actually not even Dokkan Festival exclusive, but he's not a part of any sort of categories right now. What makes Masked Saiyan good? Well, he gets a flat boosted passive, so it'll be interesting to see how that changes as the game progresses, because we know that a lot of times flat boosts do get power crept by other units. For example, case in point, a unit like Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku got completely power crept by Masked Saiyan himself. Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken was getting 20,000 attack and 10,000 defense, while Masked Saiyan is getting, I believe, 50,000 and then 20,000. So again, amazing difference between the two units. And the cool thing about Masked Saiyan is that he does have that debuffing ability via the super attack mechanic, which always comes in handy. And if you need a leader, he's actually a pretty solid leader. One of the better rainbow type leaders. All colors get, 50% and 3 key. So an awesome unit. Again, with a very good link set too. Brutal Beatdown is quietly a very good link now. Again, Saiyan Lineage is a cool link too, depending on the team that he's on, which I believe Broly also has that, so take it as you will. He has Prepare for Battle, which I'm sure that his main leader, Broly, Tech SS3 Broly, also has. Fierce Battle's there too. And Berserker, which is another link that I'm pretty sure Broly has. So again, you look at it and you say, well, this guy's actually really, really good. So that being said, Masked Saiyan, I can't wait to see what type of category he'd be added into, but Masked Saiyan is one of the better units in the game. And again, he's on just about every single banner because he's not even a festival exclusive. I'm not sure when we'll get more units like that. Of course, Kefla was the latest iteration of a really, really good unit that has a really, really good leader skill that's not even festival exclusive over on JP. So keep that in mind. So number 2 and number 1 are a complete toss-up because it depends on preference, by the way. So number 2 is basically 1B, and he's Physical Cooler. Yes, Physical Cooler. So you guys know number 1 is Goku. We'll talk about Goku in a little bit, but Physical Cooler, again, awesome, incredible freaking unit. If this guy rolls off 2 to 3 hits, and God forbid any of them are critical hits, for example, you are just basically going to get destroyed. This guy gets 100% attack and defense up. He has, again, the chance at launching multiple attacks via the passive and the potential system, and they could become super attacks that could then, of course, become critical hits. The interesting thing about this character is that he has a lot of good links too. Thirst for Conquest is a solid link, Fierce Battle, Strongest Clan in Space, Shocking Speed, Universe Most Malevolent, Big Bad Bosses, and there's that Metamorphosis link again. So you have a unit here that's very well rounded again, and that's kind of the theme of the villain type archetype in this game, is a lot of the villains are very well rounded. They either have some sort of really good debuffing mechanic, or they're able to go offense and defense like Cooler can. So here we have a unit that is, again, very well rounded and will be one of the better units in the game, like he used to be. Well, still kind of is, but you get my point. He'll be a lot better when he gets under a new category team that can offer him better, just better boost. Hopefully that he gets under one that's not like Ultimate Gohan's, although it would work. The problem with Ultimate Gohan's category is that it's a low attack increase. It's only 130%, which kind of is a bad thing, but it's good because you get 170% HP and defense, which is awesome. But when this game gets calculated damage-wise, you have units like LR Gohan and LR Trunks losing out in damage output to a unit like LR Broly, who again also gets a flat boosted passive, so it'll be interesting to see how that changes. But because of the fact that LR Broly's best team is under the Revive Warriors category, which gives 170% attack boost. So again, like I was talking about at the beginning of the video, the category boosts make a massive difference in the placement of these units. But fortunately, these units can be on a lot of different category teams, so you get to pick and choose. Eventually, that should be the case for just about all these really good units. So I'm kind of interested in why they've waited on Cooler being a part of the categories. A lot of that's probably because Frieza wound up being the Revive Warriors category as opposed to like being a Frieza Clan category, which I don't know how much potential there is for that, because you'd have Golden Frieza and then Angel Golden Frieza and this guy, and then they need to drop more because there's not really much else you can put around that. But that being said, let's move on to number 1, numero uno, SS4 Goku. This guy... I don't really need to say much about this guy. This guy is a freaking animal, literally. He's a monster, right? Because he was one of the main cards that came into this game and just immediately took it over, being able to hit for millions of damage. And it was like, what is happening here? He had a huge impact on this game because he was able to do that. And there was also some legitimate debate in the fact that, you know, Vegeta was able to hit a little bit weaker, but also gave you that defensive viability, that versatility, like a lot of the villains that we've talked about today are able to do. But this guy is able to maintain his defense whenever they implemented that update that Super 17 came in. And then he's able to, after a couple of super attacks with good potential system buffs, get relatively as high defense as Vegeta. So 70,000, 80,000 defense is enough to tank really well in this game. But so he's able to get that high of defense, but also getting 150% attack increase. And not to mention the fact that he's able to counter those super attacks as well. So again, incredible unit. Could have been on the Shadow Dragon team. I don't care what people say. He definitely could have been on that team, but they chose not to because they were probably too worried about that team being really good at the time, because a lot of people say he's not on that because the super attack animation or the art or what have you is not from that arc, which is fair. And Goku made his first appearance in a previous arc, which is fair as well, but that also applies to a lot of units that did make it into the category, such as Pans and Oobs and Trunkses and stuff like that. They didn't have to leave him out, but they chose to, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. And just for the record, I don't think they'll ever make a full Super Saiyan category. I don't think they will, but a lot of people really want that, so maybe. And of course, if they do that, they're just going to take everybody with the Super Saiyan link, which fortunately this guy has, and just shove them all into one really big category. But that was it for the top 5. Again, I felt like 1 and 2 could be interchanged. I also felt like the 2 villains at the bottom could have been interchanged. I feel like Masked Saiyan was an interesting unit. He could have been maybe 1 down or, you know, 1 up depending on your preference. But overall, it was a lot of fun to be able to bring this to you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, let's make sure to hit a like goal of 800 likes on this video. And again, make sure that you check back tomorrow because we'll be talking about categories and potential categories that we would like to see added into the game. So anyways, thank you guys for the continued support. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy.